saw earlier against BDS, maybe they're ripe for the taking here for G2 to pick up a win, a much needed win at that, one that they definitely need to get. One win by the end of the day, guys, and it should be enough. Cyclops, their future opponent later on today, is going to be BDS. That will be a tough match for them to win that game. And of course, as we know, Cyclops do have the tiebreaker versus G2. So for G2 Esports, Liquid, Cloud9, Dark Zero, those are their 3 games today. They start with Liquid here on Oregon. Thatcher off the board, no surprise there. I'm sure we'll see probably Valk go as well later. It's the standard Oregon bans probably.
We'll have to wait and see. G2 attacking first. They'll respond with the Nomad. That would suggest that on their defense, they're going to play quite heavy on the roam, but that works both ways. And in the first 6 rounds, they'll need to be mindful of Liquid if they aggress in and around the objective, keeping in mind that at least earlier against BDS, that was not really the case. They were boxed out quite aggressively by that attack and didn't commit to any heavy roams. The Mirror, of course, will be taken out of the fray as well. If anything, just an annoying operator that can then be a trouble to deal with, particularly downstairs. And the Clash taken out there from Team Liquid.
Not wanting to have to deal with the Clash, the shield play, especially an area that we have been seeing it recently is kids' dorms and sort of holding that big window white stairs position. It has been a little bit prevalent in that particular area. Not an issue. Valk actually now remains on the board, of course, to be used if desired. And in terms of like sort of the common bans, I guess, between these two teams, it has been a lot of Thatcher, Nomad, and the Valk. So the Valk not going to be partaking. So laundry supply, guys, is where we're going to go for the first round of this match. And it is actually, a fun fact, the most played site at SI so far. 55 times it has been played for a 56% defensive win rate.
Oof. Cheeky stat there. I don't mind that. I gotta say, I'm a little bit perplexed as to why Team Liquid have elected to take the Clash off the board. I'm just trying to look through their stats, and I can't find anything standing out to me at the moment as to why they would have taken that off the board. And it doesn't look like it's a heavily played defender for them. So yeah, a little bit perplexed as to why that was the case, unless I'm, of course, interpreting the stats wrong, which, you know, would not be a surprise because I am definitely prone to mistakes. In fact, the percentage of when they played it when it was available was 2% in EUL Stage 1. So... and that's 105 rounds being taken into consideration. So a little bit perplexing there, but either way, we will move forward. Maybe G2 could have brought it out sneakily, and Team Liquid just not wanting to deal with that. In this round, though, Team Liquid committing to a heavier roam. We see Moringa at the top of the main stairs, and also some presence in towards meeting, so already more aggressive than their previous matchup against BDS.
Yeah, which is probably required for those who watched the match. BDS just tore Liquid apart. Liquid were on the defense for the entire first half. They got 6-0'd by BDS's attack, and BDS got every single opening pick as well. And Liquid are obviously going to get a chance to redeem themselves pretty quickly here on Oregon, on the defense. It's like, okay, we were just here moments ago. Now we can refine some things against G2 Esports, a team that has been struggling. Let's get in their face. Let's be aggressive and be the aggressors in this case. Next, taking a bit of damage, has to fall right back through meeting, over towards backstairs. Doesn't make it. Uno just catches him from behind. Actually catches him from above in attic, and now it's an advantage for G2 Esports.
A good pinch there from G2. They have been struggling a little bit so far with their teamwork and cohesion and playing off one another and making sure that picks that should be secured are in fact being secured. And that's a good opener for them in this round. Dangerous player shut down, and now of course they can start to put some pressure in towards the site. Citizen is at the bottom of the laundry stairs, ready and waiting, and he can prep grenades later in the round or send in some Geminis for additional information. Elsewhere, of course, Virtue is working the hatch with the Maverick. Virtue, a player that has, by his standard, not been performing greatly here at the 6th Invitational. Of course, yes, he has been fulfilling that support role, and you're not expecting the stats to be absolutely wild, but like most of the team, unable to really have a strong foothold in most of these games.
We'll be able to get this meeting hatch open. Control over towards Freezer established as well. Look to clear out utility, and as you saw before, we have at least got one play over towards laundry for G2, or at least that's where they were a couple of moments ago. 50 seconds still left in the round. A lot of the defense for Liquid just hanging a bit back over towards PLO. Still got to play over an elbow as well. It's very on site right now for the 4 remaining players of Team Liquid.
35 seconds left. The Gemini has used to gather intel. 3 drones inside of Connector. Liquid surely have all been spotted out. G2 just need to enact and pounce upon the intel that has been gained.
Well, it seems like they're struggling to clear out. Moringa now has taken a big chunk of damage. Surely will fall back. No, still holds over and Freezer. Citizen didn't check his corners. It's Palu who takes his head off. Kanto getting a pick onto PSK, and such is basement on Oregon. It just becomes a clown fiesta towards the end of the round. It trades back and forth. Somehow Liquid with an advantage, and what a shot to close it out. Sexy Cake with a shotgun. And somehow Liquid come away with the first round on Oregon.
The start of that execute there from G2 strong, but unfortunately for them, Sexy Cake was still alive inside of the server. Finds a cheeky 2k at the end as they try and go deep in towards Laundry and think about a plant. Good control was, of course, obtained over towards Freezer, but with the diffuser in the hands over towards Laundry, that was where the real contest was going to be fought. Liquid win that duel out, and in doing so, they claim round 1.
It probably wasn't even really a time thing either for G2. Felt like they had enough time on the clock, that they were making headway. Maybe not the quickest attack we've ever seen, such as basement, of course, on Oregon. And we brought up the statistic before, 56% from the most played side at SI is a pretty significant number. Now we head over to Kids Dorms, and I'm going to say, it doesn't get any better. 60% defensive win rate from 40 rounds. I mean, it's a decent amount of rounds that we've seen at SI so far. And it is one thing to keep in mind that, defense on Oregon is expected. Team Liquid, you would imagine, should get out to at least a 4-2 half, for instance, as maybe par for the course here. So for G2 Esports, it's not all about this first half. If they can pinch a few rounds, that would be great to then go into their defense on Oregon later. But of course, as we saw before, BDS also said, hey, we can also do it on the attack. It doesn't have to just be defense only. So a good start for Liquid, and it's something they needed after their drubbing the 7-1 loss earlier from BDS Esports. They needed to get off to a good start here.
Questions will be raised. If Liquid do lose this map, why did they go back to Oregon again, considering that their form has not been incredible this year so far on this map, and most recently against BDS they struggled, but who knows, maybe G2, they've read something into their playstyle on this particular map and feel confident in taking them down. And once again, we'll see an upstairs hold here, of course, because the objective is upstairs. Kayak playing on the Thermite will open up Attic, uncontested. I like that operator selection there. Of course, Thermite now has 2 smoke grenades that can be very handy in covering lines of sight late round. A strong presence inside of Attic with the projectile denial operators, or utility rather, from Nesk and Palu respectively. Citizen, meanwhile, down below taking control. He might look to cook some nades, but he needs to be careful. There is an extension from Liquid inside of Kitchen.
Citizen just inside of dining right now, and this sort of top of freezer security area is so vital for Kids Dorms, trying to get control of White Stairs, and Sexy Cake also denying Vert from below, sitting inside a kitchen right now. A lot of time on the clock here, and Liquid still committing to this roam down below, putting the pressure onto G2 Esports, not allowing them to just walk up White Stairs and look for a pinch. They'll probably play someone over towards Big Window. They've got Attic open. Doesn't seem like they're going for a games push just yet. They maybe do that late into the round. Still lots of time. In fact, Kayak's on site, by the way, and he's getting this down. It is going to be through games. They've got that open nice and early. So Kayak will get this diffuser down, and now for Team Liquid, it's the retake that they need to get. But Citizen watching, and now swings out. Couldn't get the second one, though, on to Sexy Cake. 3 versus 3 in the round. 35 seconds left.
A tricky retake here for Team Liquid in the 3 versus 3, and there's only 30 seconds now left on the clock. They need to begin to move, and they need to try and trade out these picks, but G2 are playing passive. Palu will head in towards Trophy to try and shut down Uno in bedroom as Sexy Cake hits the kit with the counter diffuse. It's a good swing there from Palu, and he does enough to distract the time of the second player. Can Sexy Cake stick it? He can. He does it. Team Liquid convert the round.
Oh, what a messy round. Liquid just more than happy to roam down below, look for those jewels, and then G2 Esports just elect to push straight onto site, get that early plant, but unable to cover it. And Team Liquid will take the first 2 rounds here on Oregon, and right now their defense proving to be quite decent again after a poor showing against BDS. Now move over to Meeting and Kitchen for the third round. They look to do the World Tour here on Oregon, and if they can win this, they will then head back down to Basement, and it's not good signs for G2 Esports early. This is a big site.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Good upstairs defense there in the previous round for Team Liquid. Of course, maybe a little bit scary that they let the plant go down, but a good retake there headed by Palu was great from the Brazilians, and unfortunately G2 shut down as they tried to rotate back towards site in an attempt to kill Sexy Cake. That confidence now building, they'll head over towards Meeting and Kitchen. Excited to see exactly how this round plays out and where G2 look to approach from. Often teams will try to take control over towards Big Tower to the northern side of the map, or teams may even try to go for an approach from the west. So we'll have to see exactly how this attack looks to shape up.
Only early days though, only the first 2 rounds. G2 Esports have been in these rounds. That's at least some sort of positive that you can look to, because I'm going to be completely honest, at 1 and 5, there's been a couple of games that they haven't quite shown up in, but a trend that has been the case is in a few of the losses for G2, you know, have gone to these sort of long overtime matches, or they've had leads that they've sort of choked away. The G2 Esports, despite their seasonal scoreline of 1 and 5, have been in the majority of their games. And again, in this case, in these rounds, they've been in them, but just not able to find the winning moments. And that's really been the theme for G2 so far over SI.
Indeed, it has been a tough start for G2. Maybe still reaping the loss of Pengu at the beginning of the year, as Kayak is still trying to acclimatize to this roster. It's a wide swing that goes punished from Sexy Cake. The IGL taken off Thirsty for Team Liquid as backstage gets popped open.
And losing Sexy Cake here, you just have to question now sort of the defense over towards Meeting, and if it has been hindered enough that G2 Esports can smoke up, go in for that default plant through Kayak. It's a good hold here from Kanto over in Kitchen Corridor, and he can just watch the angle. PSK still on site. This is the last line of defense just about. Kayak now can go for this plant, and it is going to be difficult for G2 Esports to retake. For Liquid to retake, as they do get one back onto Kanto. The plant will be confirmed. Ness can now try and push down the corridor. The red ping is out, knows where at least one of them is located, but backstairs is going to be so difficult to push through, and well, Uno shows it why. And it is going to be a round win for G2 Esports on this Meeting site. I will say though, guys, not too surprised by this one. The stats do show that it is the best site. 25% defensive win rate from the 12 times we've seen it at 6 Invitational so far, and I think it was proven why it's not really the site you want to be playing for the defense here on Oregon.
Some questionable aggression at the beginning of that round from Sexy Cake. The wide swing at Kitchen Hallway was punished well there by G2, and then a good entry in towards the site, shutting down PSK, was also rewarded in the 5 versus 3. Of course, G2 could get that plant down quite freely, and the retake from there, near impossible. A lot of deep angles that could be held there from the attack, and Team Liquid didn't really have an opportunity to get back in towards that round. Of course, now though, they can rotate back downstairs, a comfortable site for them, or at least it was on their first round, their first attempt, of course, as well. And they'll be looking to replicate that form. It was a strong hold in the late round previously, and of course, they'll be wanting to replicate that.
Well, G2 Esports get one on the board. Can they now make it 2 in a row, gain a bit of momentum moving forward? That's the question to be seen. And it's not as if their attack down basement last time was really all that bad. Still had a decent amount of time, cleared out most of the utility, just honestly just weren't hitting their shots. Team Liquid right now a little bit shaky still, fresh off the back of their demoralizing loss to BDS, a match that we sort of penned in as like a clash of titans, if you will, maybe a playoff preview at some point, and they just didn't show up at all. Now versing this out of form G2 Esports lineup on a map that both teams have kind of struggled on. It is neck and neck, 1-2 early on.
A lot of utility available here from G2. And there's a lot of counter utility from the defense established that they will need to deal with. The attack with 6 nades in total, and Kanto heading the push with Sophia 2 lifeline impacts as well in hand.
Stay clear.
I don't know if Kanto has been droned ahead here, but he is mindful of a player potentially making their way up Freezer. Instead, he elects to make a breaching charge to rotate in towards Kitchen. And I now expect Virtue to come along and work the hatch, keeping in mind that Kaid is being used to electrify these hatches. And with Thatcher also taken off the board, getting that with an exothermic charge from the thermite will of course be impossible.
And PSK just being a little bit annoying, pushing up those back stairs slightly.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Of course, going to need Virtue to open up that meeting hatch later on. Still plenty of time, minute 40 or so left. And for Team Liquid, it's a pretty standard defense, not really showing any sort of signs of roam above. It is just going to be on site, play over towards Pillar. Probably one lingering around Elbow, one over towards Freezer, two on site. As Virtue will now get to work on this meeting hatch.
Clean work there from Virtue, and the hatch is popped. Stock standard here so far from G2, and in terms of their time management, very similar to their first attempt, where they did struggle in the end to shut down the precision that Team Liquid have in their arsenal. PSK makes his way to Harry Potter, and Nesca's alongside inside of Pillar to assist. These players potentially droned out by Virtue, but that drone is shut down. A late rotate here from Citizen would indicate that they might go for a laundry blue split, but again, more utility still needs to be cleared, and I think Sexy can fall back here and reinforce the wall if so desired.
Still hasn't cleared that shield though, so Sexy can hold it for a little bit longer. Now Kanto found the opening pick. That's PSK off the board. The Jaeger getting a little aggressive over towards backstairs and will pay with his life. That just makes Pillar a little bit more vulnerable, and while Liquid entirely are a little bit more vulnerable. Great swing though from Nesk. The drop down meeting hatch successful from Virtue to get the trade after losing Kanto. And we get down to this sort of 20-second fiesta here on Oregon basement. Uno's
Moringa's
down,
above.
although is going to be revived. Moringa, you've got to be able to get this kill.
Oh.
Diffuser down. Liquid in a perfect position now, although he gets off of that diffuser for even a split second. It's Uno who picked it up, but he meets his death immediately to Palu. Citizen left in 1 versus 3, gets one. Can he find any more? Not much time though. In fact, not enough time. It will be Liquid taking a 3-1 lead here on Oregon.
Fantastic play there from Moringa. Finds himself inside of meeting deep into that round. And when you have hatch control like that, it's incredibly difficult for G2 to get themselves back in towards that round. It's a tricky angle to counter. And it was well played in the end. I'm not exactly sure how the Goyo managed to sneak above, but of course with the Nomad band out, that does aid the defense in executing those plays.
And so far, really, this entire match has just gone to script, guys, in every single fashion. Tactical timeout early from G2 Esports, and I'm a little surprised by it in some ways. Simply from what we've seen, I don't think there's anything that's out of the ordinary. Here on Oregon defense, basement wins here for Liquid. G2, have they been sloppy? Yeah, I mean, kind of, in the way that they've been sloppy over the entire course of SI, sure. But for the most part, it's been pretty stock standard. It's been mostly default holds, nothing too crazy. And the early timeout suggests, though, that maybe G2 just not happy with the way that they're closing out these rounds.
And I guess G2 are looking to try and mount some more rounds in this first half, try and win out the attack in theory, and may not be satisfied with only a couple of round wins on the off-meta sites here for Team Liquid. You can see, of course, the team engaging with some pretty deep discussion. Citizen leading the charge. To your left-hand side of screen, Virtue sitting alongside. He has been fulfilling that hard breach role. Be awesome to be able to hear what exactly these players are talking about and what they believe has been going wrong for them so far in these rounds. Maybe they're not overly dissatisfied with how the rounds have been playing out. But again, it has been that late round that they've just been falling a little bit short on.
Yeah, look, I'm just going to be completely honest. I'm a bit bewildered by the very early timeout. It's only 1-3. Liquid's on the defense. We've seen, 2 basement wins here for Liquid, plus Kid Storms. G2 winning the meeting site, of course, as you could kind of expect and hope based on the stats that we've seen. And the good news for G2 as well is they're doing really well in a lot of these opening duels. So they are getting these advantages. 3 out of the first 4 rounds, they've had the opening pick. Kanto's been involved literally in the last 3 rounds, either the opening pick or the opening death. So, look, G2 are in this game. It's just about tidying things up towards the final 20-30 seconds of these rounds and just being a little bit more clean.
Back above we go here for Team Liquid.
5 seconds to go.
It was a successful retake for them in round number 2, where they allowed the plant to be established, but it was a strong retake at that. A lot of cross angles were eventually held there by Team Liquid, and G2 were unable to prevent Sexy Cake from disabling that diffuser. And on the topic of Sexy Cake, he is committing to a big tower hold at the very top on tier 3, and he has a couple of Mozzie Pests to assist him and to try and cloak his presence on this location. Again, it's another high-risk play from the Brazilian, but if it does pay off, he might be able to find a pick or two, or at the very worst, waste some time here from G2.
And this is the difference right now from Team Liquid compared to their previous matchup. Happy to play this more risk game and look for those rewards and try and catch G2 Esports off a little bit. And speaking of catching, very close there. Citizen doesn't elect to continue to push over to Pillar, and we'll just take out the default and Freezer, and it's just all about sort of trying to clear down below. And he's going to get a kill here. Yeah, 100%. PSK caught napping there, roaming around down below, and Citizen was already inside of Freezer. So, and again, establishing what I mentioned before, but G2 Esports continue to get these opening kills, but it just comes down to being able to capitalize, and Palu immediately, though, at least rectifies that disadvantage. It's 4 versus 4, and that's Diffuser down.
And I was going to say, in the 5-on-4, that puts a lot of pressure on Sexy Cake and effectively leaves the site held by only 3 members of Team Liquid. So it's a great response there from Palu, dropping the kit out on the balcony as well as evening up that man count. I assume that gives comfort to Sexy Cake, who can continue to play that top power position as Moringa gets lit up from a grenade from below, but he still does survive. 3 gas canisters still in hand that can be utilized late round.
Yeah, and you can see Sexy Cake there on your screen. He's obviously given up on that big tower hold. Nothing coming there from G2 Esports, setting up mostly for a big window, sort of white stairs push, it seems like, from what I can see here right now. So with a minute left on the round, the fact that it's 4 versus 4, Liquid defensively set up really sound. Moringa's only sort of the weak point, that he is low. And Palu down below has got 3 for the round. Well, forget about what's happening above. It's all about what's happening below. Palu 9-0 and 3. Leading the way here for Team Liquid, and this is going to make this round impossible now for G2 Esports. Virtue and Kanto, the last 2 remaining. Palu, why not just swing out and get your 4th? That's a quad. Give him the ace.
Running rampant is Palu, and now Virtue is left in the 1v3. He jumped onto the Ash this round, and now he needs to go big and recover this round for his team, but they know exactly where he's positioned, over towards Pit. Surely Palu can come across. Surely Palu can get the ace. He swings around the corner. He fires, but he misses. He fires again, and he gets it. It's an ace for Palu. It's a huge round for Liquid.
Palu is just too good. And even in their recent loss to BDS, he was the only one who really was shining for Team Liquid. Whether they're losing, whether they're winning, you can count on Palu. And look, it started again with G2 Esports finding the opening pick, trying to clear out PSK down below. They did that effectively, but from there, it just all fell apart, mostly thanks to Palu. In fact, all because of Palu. He got the ace in the end. He got all 5, and G2's attack was broken down way too easily. 1-4, 1 round to go in the half. Liquid looking to take a significant advantage into the second half.
Defenders, protect your bomb.
Great work there from Palu. Going for a couple of runouts there, a couple of cheeky peeks outside, and they prove to be worth it. Maybe again G2 suffering off the back of that Nomad ban, but you wouldn't necessarily be expecting an air jab to be used in that position. Maybe a drone was misplaced, or maybe Palu just playing really well and capitalizing upon an oversight there from the G2 Esports setup. Either way though, Team Liquid take the round. They're establishing a good lead here on the defense, but of course a 4-2 split for G2 would not be the worst result. It still positions them nicely, of course, for their defense, and all focus will now be on this meeting kitchen attack, which was very solid from G2 last time. They opened up the wall quite quickly over towards stage. They got 2 picks to open up the round, and then it was a free plant from there.
It is hard to see how G2 Esports are going to be able to get back into this one, but if there is a way forward, it is obviously going to be in the second half when they do switch over to the defense and have to sort of replicate what Team Liquid has been doing here. Opportunity though, and an opportunity that they must take with this site. It is an absolute given. If they don't win this site, I'm happy to call it here going into the second half. Otherwise, 4-2, 2 rounds on attack on Oregon, not the end of the world, at least from what we've seen here at SI.
Again, Sexy Cake on the top of Big Tower, but Keto. Oh, that's what we like to see from the man. With an ACOG in hand, or at least the 2x now, the man can do a lot of damage. And Sexy Cake will again be the opening pick on this objective, putting some pressure now on the rest of the team to step up and try and prevent backstage from being open. But at this point, it's almost inevitable, and then G2, of course, can begin to mount pressure towards site.
And I will mention this, though. This is now 4 rounds in a row for G2 Esports getting this opening pick. 4 rounds in a row. They've been up 5 versus 4. 4 rounds in a row. Well, so 3 rounds in a row they've actually lost. So G2 have been in this position time and time again, but they just can't find a way to actually come out with the round win outside of course, this meeting kitchen site, which right now it is working out in a similar manner to the last time we saw this. They've got to deal with PSK. Nesk finds a kill into Citizen, tries to deny this wall being opened up. Looks as if it was successful. Minute and 20 or so left on the clock, but it's PSK's position right now that is most pivotal.
Oh, they time it perfectly. G2, Virtue swings as he tries to impact trick the wall once again. Well played there by the Europeans. It leaves it in the 4-on-3, and G2 could start thinking about this plant. They won't go for it straight away, though. Kayak plays it patiently. The danger man of Palu still lurking. He could still have a big impact in this round, and as Ness gets it to the 3-on-3, it looks more obtainable for the Brazilians.
Yes, Babe going to go out. Kayak, though, is going to be able to stick this. Never mind. Spotted and stopped by Moringa. Nask will swing out, gets the double to close the round and close the half for Team Liquid. 5-1 lead. G2 Esports, currently last place in this A group. Need to find a win today. This is the first of 3 opportunities. And it's not looking like they're going to be able to find it here on Oregon against Team Liquid. We switched the half, but guys, this first half, all Team Liquid.
In this round in particular, there was some great team play from G2. The coordination to call for Virtue to swing as they knew that PSK was going to go again for the impact trick was phenomenal. But it crumbled in the latter stages of that round as they tried to get the plant down. They were just mowed down from the rotations near Split that were watching that location on the stage. There's a bloodbath there, and unfortunately G2 on the receiving end. They now need to crawl back a 1-5 deficit on this Oregon defense.
And can you believe, but G2 Esports had 5 of the 6 rounds opening kills go their way. 4 of those turned it into losses. Just unable to close out late in rounds, and that's been their downfall. Early rounds, sure, they're getting these opening picks, winning these early duels, getting close to site, and then it all just stalls, and it becomes stagnant, and then they can't do anything after that. And that's a credit to Team Liquid's defense as well. When they're on site, and mostly just holding pretty default angles and default setups, but they're just hitting their shots on site when it matters, late in the clutch. G2 Esports now go over to the defense where they're expected to do well, at least for the next few rounds, especially on this basement site. So wouldn't be surprised if they do get a few rounds here to make this scoreline a little closer.
Meeting hatch left soft here by the defense of G2, despite still having 2 reinforcements in the pocket. I'm not sure if we can have another look at that at Observer, but oh, there we go. Okay, so Kanto's getting it late. I was getting a little bit scared there for G2. I thought that maybe it was a strategic call, but no, that won't be the case. Still 1 reinforcement left in the pocket. Of course, if G2 wish to fall back from the elbow extension that they have likely established. Shots rain out in the early round as G2 look to slow down this attack a little bit. Kayak in an engagement early through the wall in towards Kitchen. I believe that was Nesk, who doesn't get away with any damage inflicted. Now progressing over towards Big Tower as Liquid attempt to take control of Pillar.
Yeah, Nesk gonna get droned down backstairs here and at least get some information. Obviously knowing a play at Pillar. I gotta say, I think G2 Esports right now, the way that they've been playing, should look to be aggressive and should look to play this sort of roam game above and find a pick or 2 because they've been winning their opening duels. Get that 1 pick, then fall back to site from that point onwards and just play off of that 4 versus 5 late into the round because that's really what they're going to need. They're going to need any advantage that they can get. Liquid, of course, just pretty much right now clearing out. They're going to clear out all this utility in Freezer, and then at some point they'll look to either go Laundry, Blue, or maybe even backstairs, but mostly Blue, Laundry, Freezer.
Sexy Cake drones ahead for his team. You could see him communicating exactly where those players were located and likely calling for what the team shall do next. He begins to open up the security hatch with the blowtorch as a defender down below Getting a little bit cheeky on the peak, but he plays it smart. Of course, the hatch is now with set amount of HP, if you would. And enough flame on that bad boy will pop it open. There we go. Sexy Cake getting that done quite quickly. And with a minute to go, they'll begin to establish the pre-push. PSK has the diffuser in hand over towards Laundry, and that may indicate it's a southern push for Liquid.
Yeah, a little bit late with this meeting hatch. Not too late. It depends if they even really want to drop down or not. Still want to obviously open it up. Just it provides that extra avenue. 40 seconds left though, and so far the attack from Team Liquid about the same sort of timing of G2 Esports. It is relatively slow for the most part. Nothing too aggressive with 30 seconds left. They're going to have to start to push in now. Final few drones going out to find these positions, but Kayak aggressive here and really being in the face of Liquid over at Freezer.
A line of sight has been established in this location as he looks to get aggressive. The Nitro Cell gets thrown out. I think it got shot midair though. Oh, Uno though shoots to midair. In fact, oh, it's just popping off here, and Moringa is left in the 1 versus 3 to salvage this round for Liquid. He lights one up, but Kanto on the swing over towards Pillar, I believe, is the one to close out that round for G2 as they look to slowly mount this comeback.
And in the end, it really probably was a time thing that did backfire for Team Liquid. Tried to open up too much, tried to maybe do too much. This didn't help either. Uno just putting to bed 2 players inside of Freezer that easily. The Laundry push, I think, fell apart ridiculously easily as well. So just good signs from G2 Esports, but not the best attack from Team Liquid either.
Of course, it's important to remember that G2 must win a game today. Have a couple of opportunities, but kicking that off against Team Liquid would be a fantastic start to their day. And I guess the conclusion of their group stage, which has so far been a little bit disappointing. On the flip side, of course, Liquid basically securing their spot in the playoffs, but still want to play hard here. There is an opportunity for them to drop out of the top 4, meaning that they will not start in the upper bracket. Oh, pardon me, it's Sexy Cake. Jumping onto the Blitz. Now, this is an operator that we have seen played a little bit from Team Liquid. In fact, they brought it out against BDS. And the casters, rightly so, were framing that as a little bit of a desperation play from Team Liquid late in that matchup to try and salvage some rounds. But even now, with a 3-round lead, they'll bring it out once again to try and disrupt this G2 defense.
And a reminder as well for a lot of the APAC fans probably watching right now, cheering on Team Liquid, because they need to make sure that G2 Esports don't pick up any wins today. I think we can all agree that Cyclops unlikely to beat BDS later on in one of the final matches today. But yeah, the Blitz is going to be interesting to see how Sexy Cake is going to utilize this one. Could push through Attic, could push through White Stairs, push through Games. It's pretty much going to be the main 3 options. And right now, over towards Yellow Bus and Team Liquid. They do have a very decent lead at the moment, 5-2. If they want, they can still just try these things. And right now, just going to push into Small Tower and push on over at the moment. Clear out. Pretty standard.
Default camera pop there from Sexy Cake, and he's being droned ahead here by a teammate, crouching to try and minimize their sound profile that he's making. Of course, that shield is one noisy boy, and he will need to be careful. He ends up draining himself ahead, making sure that the likes of the top of Freezer Stairs and inside of security are clear, and may even go and check Z as well, linking in towards Classroom on the right-hand side of the map. I think he'll find that it is pretty clear. Reinforcement has been established inside of Kitchen, but no one on the defense currently holding that position. You need 2 offside, a Kanto and Virtue on the eastern side. Playing inside of lobby. Maybe trying to deny some of this intel from Team Liquid. And I think Virtue now is inside of Garage. He needs to be careful that he doesn't get isolated here.
Minute and a half remaining in this round, and G2 Esports giving it everything they've got here against Liquid to now fight back on the defense. It just feels like a timing thing right now for Team Liquid. Seems like they've got a plan. It's just all about implementing it, opening up this game's wall, and then the push to come through with the Blitz from Sexy Cake. And I mean, they are literally taking their time here. They are going to wait for the right time, the right moment to make this push to open up this wall. 1 minute on the clock. Moringa down below in Classroom, just trying to find an early pick. Uno's taking a bit of damage, and there is movement above. Moringa can hear that. He just can't see it.
Virtue still inside of Garage. Moringa will need to be mindful of the late flank. Again, Nomad has been taken out, and that could pose a threat to this attack. So G2 playing into their ban well here. 5 versus 5, and 35 seconds are left on the scoreboard. A lot has been done here from Liquid, but Sexy Case is going to head straight in with the Blitz.
Well, he's obviously going to go check his corners here, and unfortunately, as soon as he does that, his backside is just very vulnerable, and the trade's always going to go into the side of G2 Esports. Palu at the bottom of White Stairs is able to get one onto Kanto. Now he's got this position. Liquid might be able to pinch, and with a bit of help from Moringa, should be able to get at least 1 or 2 more. There's still a downed player actually over in Dorms. Got to clear the player in pit. Not going to happen. Good angle from Citizen. Uno as well backs him up and gets the kill onto Palu. Messy round, and for Team Liquid, ended up just biting off more they could chew with that amount of time they wasted, and for what ended up being a pretty uneventful attack.
Well played there from G2. Unfortunately for Liquid, they were stalled out a little bit there and not doing a whole lot of groundwork. They were then relying, of course, on Sexy Cake on the Blitz to have a big impact late in that round. But unfortunately for him, he was unable to shoulder all the angles required. And yeah, he was absolutely shredded as he tried to enter site. G2 did a great job in holding on there. And we didn't even have to see the players like Virtue, for example, inside of Garage, activate late round there for a retake or for a pick off the site, so they didn't have to lean too heavily into the setup that they did establish. Instead, Liquid stalling out and the defense holding on.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Just nervous signs right now for Liquid, to be honest. There's the 6-pick bug, of course, making headway once again, and well, it will be meeting after this anyway, and this is going to be the opportunity for Liquid to obviously get on the board in terms of the attacking rounds. They've struggled so far. It hasn't been conventional, and the area that continues to just be extraordinarily one-sided, and I've mentioned it a few times, but it's really continuing to be quite daunting for Team Liquid, is their inability to find these opening picks. It is every single round gone to G2 minus once. Only one time have G2 not picked up the opening kill. You are constantly at a disadvantage every single round, and having to sort of fight from behind, it can get a bit taxing, especially when G2's now on the defense and they're still picking up these opening kills.
And sometimes that can work out, right? It's not always doom and gloom if you do lose the early pick, but if you want to go for late round trades, the style in which Liquid has been employing thus far, you need to have an advantage, or at least be even heading into those executes. And Team Liquid, unfortunately, not finding themselves in those positions. So, of course, late round, they're going to be hampered, particularly on Oregon. It's a map that relies a lot on very specific players holding for very specific angles at very specific times. And only one piece of that puzzle being taken out can cause a cascade of issues, and Liquid are suffering from that, at least so far. If they bounce back, though, maybe have 5-5 executes, or not forced into blitz rushing because they're able to open up walls and generate more angles and more pressure onto G2, we could see that trend change.
And so far, sort of the casualties have been Sexy Cake 0-3 on the entry, Nesk 0-2 on the entry. That's not ideal. PSK 1-2. Palu has been the standout for Team Liquid at the moment, 12-5, and he's very clearly been their best player once again here. Like the match earlier against BDS, he had that 4K, he had that 5K, I should say, and then of course had a 3K in the very opening round. But still, G2 Esports, as I mentioned at the half, they're not out of this. They were never out of this. They had to go over to the defense and obviously then had to rectify things. They've done that. 3-5 scoreline. Not so bad now. You win Laundry Supply, you win Dorms Kids. That's great. But now you got to win Meeting Kitchen, and this is where the attack has been successful at 6 Invitational so far. Liquid, if they can do what the statistics say they should be able to do, they will then get match point.
That pressure of match point, of course, will test the mental of G2.
Need to locate and defuse bombs.
It will be a tough challenge at that, again, remembering that they need to win a map today. Of course, it doesn't necessarily need to be this exact match, but the later you leave it, the more pressure will build and the harder that feat will become. Of course, as I mentioned, it is Meeting and Kitchen. And we would expect likely a pretty similar setup to what we saw from Team Liquid. We got the extension inside of Kitchen with the rotation near split. Of course, security will be a point of contention as well. And we'll also see a hold above here from G2. Attic fully reinforced, the hatch popped, and that will of course make it difficult in the plant situation for Team Liquid. They'll need to clear out this position, otherwise the defenders can just have eagle eyes down in towards that A bomb site if they so desire to go from that side of the map. Maybe Liquid will go from small tower, albeit a little bit more unlikely.
Picking up the grid block is an operator we haven't seen too much of, Guz, in recent times. Just obviously for a bit of that flank watch and flank denial. What Liquid is cooking up here on this meeting kitchen site. Usually it is big tower the play, the bottom of big tower, and opening up that meeting wall and getting the player who's inside a meeting. Once you kill that player, get the plant, as you can of course then watch the cover, or sorry, watch the shoulder and cover the player who is planting. That's usually where we will see the majority of the action take place. But as you said, it's all about how Liquid want to approach this. And well, Nesk's current position kind of suggests they might go for the horizontal take across, maybe through kitchen, especially with Sexy Cake's current position over towards the lobby area. This is not your usual setup for a meeting plant.
Track Stingers deployed there from Sexy Cake over towards the main stairs. That's of course to try and dissuade the attack, or dissuade the defense rather, from rotating from that position after the upstairs hold is forfeited. A bit of pressure being applied here, of course, with the F90, a really strong gun with the ACOG in hand in particular. And that would suggest that Liquid still want to clear some of these players above if they so desire to go for a kitchen execute. Next on the Ash, applying some pressure on that player inside of security as a drone heads out to maybe allow him to play a bit more aggressively.
Yeah, and the way they're setting up right now, when you look at the time left as well, Kanto taking a big chunk of damage. Palu, big window, waits for the swing and is successful in getting the pick. Finally, Liquid with an opening kill. It's been so long. Will they know what to do with it, with this advantage to break down G2 Esports? Still looking to clear out the rest of these players above. And the player in Attic especially. Moringa's got help with Sexy Cake. Virtue down below in kitchen. Is there an opportunity forward here for Liquid? Nitrocell still available for Kayak on the Kaid. But Liquid have got above control, and it is looking like it is going to be a kitchen plant.
Palu smacking the floor open with the sledgehammer, looking to gain lots of lines of sight to cover the rotations from G2. Sexy Cake has the diffuser in hand, 2 smokes as well. He'll likely deploy those as he thinks about the plant. Kayak, though, ready and waiting.
Talk about frontline defense here for Kayak, sitting inside a kitchen. Virtue's not too far from him either, and he's expecting the drop down. Sexy Cake to push down this kitchen hatch and go for the plant. Smoke is out, but Kayak is literally sitting right next to him. He can hear that briefcase open. Just swings, but the smoke will deny vision. Oh, he was so close. He probably doesn't even realize. Sexy Cake can't get away with his life, gets sniped, but the diffuser is down. Nesk to cover. Liquid still with the advantage. And with that diffuser down, surely it will be too difficult for G2 Esports to bring this one back. There's a chance. No, it's shut down by Nesk. They've got a very significant advantage now. Nesk, of course, doing good things. Uno, though, in security, brings it back to a 2 versus 3. Pings go out on site. There's only 20 seconds left in the round. Uno's got a bit of information here, but he knows that this angle's being watched. He makes the run across. Can he get the shot back on a PSK? No, he can't. He can't do much more. And unfortunately, neither can Citizen from above with 8 seconds left. It will be match point for Team Liquid.
Palu opens the round and he closes the round as well. The cheeky play there from Kayak doesn't work out for G2. It was a smart play, but unfortunately, he narrowly missed his shot. He narrowly missed his opportunity to win that round for his team, or at least make it a lot more difficult for Team Liquid, who now find themselves, of course, on that match point.
And for Liquid, a different attack to what we're used to seeing on Kitchen Meeting, where typically the emphasis is on that meeting area. At this time, they obviously look to take vert control above, clear out dorms, kids, attic as well, and bedroom, and then they can, of course, open up that floorboard, have full vert control, drop down the hatch with the smokes, and place that diffuser. And really, as soon as that was successful from Sexy Cake, it was going to be very difficult for G2 Esports to bring that one back. I think a good idea with Kayak's position, obviously there to deny that. And had he been able to actually get the kill into Sexy, stop that plant from going down, it would have been a really difficult time for Liquid to then get back on site. You got to throw a body onto the site that's in the crossfire and then have to stick that plant somehow. So match point, Team Liquid, but G2 Esports, they do get to now go back down to the basement where it has been so defend-decided for the majority of teams here at Six Invitational.
And defend-decided in this matchup, Meeting Hall and Kitchen, the only site so far which has been successfully attacked. So at least G2 can have that in their favor in this round, but of course their mentality will still be tested. Can they bounce back in this matchup? Can they bounce back in this group stage? It has no doubt been a tough experience, a tough ride for this team in recent times. Citizen might be able to bring something back here, though. He's thinking about going for a cheeky spawn peek, but instead decides to fall back.
Can't be throwing your life away like that. Not that early. It's fine to roam around and be aggressive, trying to find a kill, but as soon as those shots go through that barricade, it's a no-go. Falls back down in through laundry. But the big thing now for G2 Esports, the critical thing is that they don't just turtle up and hold on site. I think it's fine to have one or two roaming around. You can see Kayak just being a little aggressive top of Freeze's stairs, but he'll fall back pretty early on. As soon as he gets droned out here, surely not going to just swing. Yeah, there's the drone. Now he falls back. Pretty standard Sexy on the Blitz as we see it for the second time in this matchup.
First time it was unsuccessful. I was expecting maybe Sexy to get ultra aggressive there, but of course no one backing him up, so he likely would have thrown his life away, instead playing quite passively and just increasing the perceived pressure on this location. Good work there from Citizen on the Black Eye. Spots out a drone there from the attack. Of course, he can't quite shoot it though, and it will scatter away. Team Liquid still with 8 drones available in this round. Of course, information is critical, but they need to start getting a move in terms of clearing utility and opening up the hatches if they so desired. PSK will begin to work the meeting hatch, and it's pretty good time management from him so far.
Yeah, to a degree, 20 seconds quicker than last time. Last time having opened up security hatch first, then made his way over to meeting. I think this time it's not going to be that case, but this has been an issue for actually quite a few teams at Six Invitational, has been time management and just pushing onto site too late. I mean, we're not in the same utility clear meta that we used to be in. There are definitely avenues where you can push onto site just that little bit earlier so that you're not strapped for time necessarily. G2 with a very aggressive sort of blue hold here, expecting Sexy Cake to just make his way through. They've still got to clear out Elbow. Pillar hasn't been cleared out. 40 seconds left here for Team Liquid, and I gotta say, it's looking like another slow approach, but Kayak has been downed. That's Pillar clear. That's Nesk pushing through at the bottom of back stairs and suddenly has Pillar control and a kill.
Time's dwindling. Team Liquid need to take control of blue. This will be a critical engagement, but Sexy K, the hip fire does not hit, and they'll likely need to go for a plant through E-box and cover those angles over towards Freezer. This will be tough, particularly with Plantadol on the board, but Kanto and Uno, they're the only two left.
Yeah, Kanto sitting inside a Freezer, the smoke going to deny vision. Oh, and he just gets immediately decimated as soon as he comes out. Uno left up into a 1 versus 3. Can he deny? No, he cannot. That's GG. And that's G2, 1-6. Team Liquid will pick up their fifth win of the tournament. 5 points for